Imagine you're on a date and things are going rough. You're staring at your food, checking the time occasionally. You need an icebreaker and fast. So, you pull out the good old if you had superpowers, which one would you have? And this may sound like a question with no wrong answers, but trust me, there are. And that's why today I'm going to be rating every superpower, from the ones that would make you practically a god, to the ones that are basically just curses, to the ones that will end with you strapped to a chair in Area 51. But of course, there are a ton of superpowers out there, so if you like this vid and want to see a part 2, just hit that like and subscribe button for me, will ya? The first power I'll talk about, and probably one of the first powers that come to mind when thinking about superpowers, is super strength. Some examples of people with this power are Mr. Incredible, the Hulk, Bane, and Yujiro Hanma. But the thing is, most times you see a character with super strength, they also have another or multiple other powers to accompany it. But for this video, we're only looking at it by itself. Now, is it a bad power? I mean, no, not really, as it's a pretty safe power that also is pretty versatile. Like, if you want to be a boxer, you'd be able to knock out your opponent's head from their body. I mean, it'd be pretty gruesome, but at least you would be world champion. The other obvious option would be to become a powerlifter because you destroy every world record immediately. Eddie Hall, Thor Bjornsson, get out of the way because a high schooler is here to destroy all of your records. Super strength isn't all good though, because well, you don't have super durability, and that can cause some problems. One thing is that you're not bulletproof. So if you're getting a little too cocky with your strength and mess with the wrong person, then you might be done, regardless of all that strength. But you know, that negative is more of a user problem. But what about one that's inherently the power? Well, one thing that came to mind is that you have to be very careful with any human interaction, because if you gave your mom a big hug, then you might as well have stepped on 3 cracks, because you definitely broke more than your mama's back. So yeah, you'd basically just have to have a constant awareness of your actions so that you don't hurt anyone. But other than that, this is a pretty good power, although rather basic. I'll rate it a 7.5 out of 10. Now, the next power we have is flight, and I honestly barely know what to say about this one since it's such a lame power. If you would choose this as your power, then I know you're either boring as shit or a robot. Because why would you choose this over the infinite amount of other powers? I mean, wow, you can fly and probably have a slightly faster journey to your office cubicle. Cool. And there are a ton of powers that you can get almost the same effect with added benefits. Plus, if you fly too high or in the wrong area, you risk being put on a US air radar and getting shot down since you aren't an authorized flying object. And you risk getting rear-ended by a plane, or you can accidentally fly into a flock of birds. And mattering how fast you can fly, it can turn into that one in Invincible scene real quick. As negative as I've been so far, this power also has its fair share of positives. Like, you can probably become the greatest basketball player of all time. People would be shocked when they see someone dunking from the half-court line other than Victor Wembanyama, because he can probably already do that. You can also take people on the most insane dates ever, flying through the sky on some Aladdin shit. To be honest, this power is okay if you're not deathly afraid of heights like I am, but it's pretty basic and it gets outclassed by other powers, so I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. The next power we got is Duplication, and this power is one that heavily varies on exactly what version of the power you have. Now at first, having duplicates can seem fun. Like, if you don't want to go to school one day, you can just have a duplicate go in your place, and watch it slowly become a better version of you, and then have to watch as your friend and family compliment you for changing for the better, but you didn't change at all, because all your clone, and now you know that they all hate you. Yeah, so it can be pretty fun. But the thing is, if they have free will, then things can get out of hand fast. Just look at all the cartoons that already explore how bad this can get. But if your clones are basically slaves that have to do what you tell them to, well, now things can get fun. And if your clones are anything like Naruto's shadow clones, and you retain memories the clone has gained through its short existence, then you can inadvertently become the smartest person in the world. You could basically become Google itself after having 50 clones read hundreds of fun fact books and websites. But you know the best thing you could do with this power? And that is to move to a small country in Africa, then duplicate dozens of yourself, and storm the capital and overthrow the government. Boom, you're a world leader now. The next step is to begin invading neighboring countries with your endless army of yous. You might not be having the military skill or the weapons, but you do have infinitely more numbers, and right now, that'll be enough. Continue doing this until you've conquered a whole continent using the resources you gathered in your raids, and you can go and attack stronger countries like America until you've taken over the whole world. Or you can just play ping pong with yourself. I don't know. Nevertheless, this is a good power, but only if you have full control over your clones. So I'll give it a 3 out of 10 if you don't have control, and a 9 out of 10 if you do. If you choose this freaky ass power, then I'm afraid I may have to end you. But it is actually really good if you aren't just using it to be a creep. So 8 out of 10. This power is fun at first. Jumping off buildings without a scratch, chugging bleach at parties, you know, the first things you do with immortality. Even living long would be fun at first, seeing the technological advancements none of us will live to see, having time to complete all your goals no matter how long they might take. But at some point, you'd actually complete all your life goals, and now what? I mean, you could take up long-term hobbies, like growing plants or painting, but I doubt that keeps you entertained forever. Plus, even if they do, what happens when humanity ends and you're left alone in a desolate world for like a billion years, and you're forced to talk to random animals and bugs? Before the sun explodes and you're left in an empty space, maybe occasionally landing on planets with intelligent life. I don't know, once every quadrillion years, until the universe finally ends and you're the only thing left in an empty nothingness. Forever. 0 out of 10, this is a curse.
I can't stop. 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 I can't stop.
This final power is the reason I even made this video, because it has to be the most overrated power of all time, even by me, because as a kid, this was my favorite power, and I still love speedsters. But let's be real, this power would suck to have in real life. First off, if you want to be the Flash and go at the speed of light, you risk touching someone with infinite mass due to some Einstein shit, I don't even know, and blowing up the whole planet. Now, that's a bit extreme, so let's just say you're about as fast as a US jet. Now you're facing the problem that every shoe you wear will disintegrate faster than when Thanos snapped. On top of that, you wouldn't even be able to see where you run, because your brain's reaction time is too slow to process what's happening at your speed. So you'd basically see a blur or nothing at all before giving the nearest building a nice red paint job. So unless you're the Flash and have the Speed Force to protect you, super speed is a practically unusable power. 1 out of 10. So in conclusion, the powers that have been glamorized by pop culture would actually be a curse if you actually had it. Moral of the story? Be happy with what you have, I guess. That might be a reach.